Shout out to Chino for fucking booking us. Hopefully he's got a surprise.
All right. Good evening, everyone. It's just a tad after 7 o'clock, and you know what that means. Live performance. And in the studio, I have with me Mr. DeAndre Sherrill. How you doing, DeAndre?
Good, yourself?
Very good. Thanks for coming in. Play for us.
Cool. I'll go ahead and start with a song off of one of our first releases. I'm going to be doing this solo today just because our drummer had to handle an emergency. So I'm going to be doing this solo today. So here you go. When wind meets east, lips retreat to the west. Legs pump my smiles just to pass this test while I digress. From tempest of her storm, what's got quick, cold? Eyes lose crimson lore from new pain now in store. Can't really see where you went in the world of me. Really begins. Bills I'm trashing all my plans. Caught in tension, dance for ends. Oh no, gotta go, don't know what to do. Guess I'll flip the script, seal the book, burn the page, and move on from the chapter. Move on from this chapter, no happy aftermath after that, and yes to this dance shop. Lady wind tempts me and take a dip in me round 3. Celestial body makes starlight weep. Got her dream, trying to control which way I go. How to move my waters flow like a dog on a tight leash. Struggling to break my neck free. Eyes are windows to the soul. Look at my pupils see. Trying to keep me from becoming whole. Bills I'm trashing all my plans. Caught in tantric dance for ends. Oh no, gotta go, don't know what to do. Guess I'll flip the script, seal the book, burn the page, and move on to the chapter. Feels I trash all my plans. Caught in tantric dance for ends. Oh no, gotta go, don't know what to do. Guess I'll flip the script, seal the book, burn the page. Feels like I'm trashing all my plans. Caught in tantric dance for ends. Oh no, gotta go, don't know what to do. Guess I'll flip the script, seal the book, burn the page.
All right. So what's the name of that?
That is called Tantric Dance.
Tantric Dance. Interesting.
Yes.
Where did that come from?
It is a song I wrote when I was 19, and I was hanging out with a couple of associates of some friends of mine, and we got acquainted over the evening, and I was walking home and thought was starting to hear music in my head. I've been playing music for 30 years, and I don't know if anybody knows this little tidbit, but after you've played for a while, you just start to hear things pop out. And every once in a while, when you hear them pop out, you sort of want to capture them.
Right.
So I started hearing this melody in my head, and I went home and wrote all the chords, and then wrote all the lyrics, and and then wrote that song. And that song ended up taking Best Funk Song Award in an LA award ceremony, and had me in the NME online music awards, probably for about a good 3 or 4 years straight. And it was just the live performances of it, which was just me like this, playing on guitar.
Nice.
You know?
Yeah. The fact that you're able to do that, just you and the guitar and the vocals there, that's awesome. So,
Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah.
okay, so you've been doing this for 30 years. How did that start? What were you doing?
Well, it started when I was a kid. You know, my mom would come to tell me later that they sort of knew I was going to be a musician. We had a lot of musical people in the family, but we had one weird occurrence one day where a lady came up to the house and like knocked on the door, and she saw a picture of me in the kitchen or whatever. She's like, "Who is this baby?" She came in to ask to use the phone. She's like, "Who's this baby?"
Yeah.
And then the lady was, my grandmother was like, "Oh, that's our grandson." And she was like, "Oh, he's going to be a musician someday." And then she left without using the phone. I guess like a couple of months later, she saw the lady's picture in the obituary or something. It was really odd. It was it was quite an odd thing. But they told me this after I had decided to play music, which was like sort of really odd, but an odd story, but
Almost supernatural. Like,
almost supernatural.
like she was like a white witch or something.
Like something like that. But I started when I was in elementary school, singing in choir, and then I moved over from choir to band, and then I started playing clarinet. And then I would say 8th grade, I went from clarinet to also learning to play jazz bass. And then when I moved to Michigan to live with my family up here, to live in Michigan, because at the time I was living with my mom and in a military family, so we were moving around a lot.
Okay.
And at that time, I moved back to Michigan from Texas. So at the time, I was living in Abilene, Texas, right around the same time that Jessica Simpson got famous. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting combo. Yeah.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So how many instruments do you play at the end of the day?
I can play clarinet. I can play a little bit of piano. All the guitar parts that I can play on guitar, I can actually play on the piano.
Oh, piano too. Yeah.
I play some bass. The guitar is my main instrument. And then I still remember how to play clarinet. And the keys for the clarinet and the saxophone are sort of similar, but it's not enough to say. So I would say probably about 4 or 5 instruments, including guitar and vocals.
Impressive. So you can really record your own album. You do the Paul McCartney thing.
Yeah. And I can play drums by ear because I sight read music too, but I can play drum parts by ear. I can sit down and figure out the parts by ear. So it's I could probably sit down and pull off the Paul McCartney or the Lenny Kravitz if I wanted to.
If you had to.
Yeah.
Wonderful. All right, let's do another one.
Cool. Come to me, baby. I've been waiting all night for you. Sitting next to me in this love chair for two. Got something on my mind. I'm sure you'll find it is worth your time. There's an open holler waiting only for you. And this key will turn if your words are true. Words can't be seen true till you see us through the secret lover avenue. Are we worth this? Love shining through this. No secret out there. Love show me you care. My pillow top has room for too. And I'm sorry, baby, to confuse you with my room. But our feelings are so divine. With a little time, you'll understand my mind. There's an open heart waiting only for you. And this key will turn if your words are true. Words can't be seen true until you see us through the Secret Lover Avenue. Are we worth this? Love, shine me through this. No secret other. Love, show me you care. Are we worth this? Love, shine me through this. No secret other. Love, show me you care. Are we worth this? Love, shine me through this. No secret other. Love, show me you care. Are we worth this? Love, shine me through this.
All right, caught me off guard there. Oh, it's done.
Yeah, that one just sort of cuts off at the end there.
All right, what's the name of that one?
That's called Secret Lover.
Okay.
And originally, I actually wrote this song for a female singer to sing. When I was first writing the song, it was back when I was still in college. And I was building a project out there before I ran into Maruga Booker, who actually happened to be friends with my mother, and Gabe Gonzalez, who are both of Parliament Funkadelic. And at the time when I was testing this female singer out, I had this melody in my head, and I was humming it in the shower.
Okay.
And I couldn't get it out of my head. And so I sat down and I was like, let me write out this chord progression that would sound sort of cool to this. And then I brought her over the one day and we sat down and I was like, all right, cool. Sing this melody. And she sang the melody beautifully. And then I was like, give me some things that you would possibly say to somebody. I'm going to write a song and have you sing the song. So she gave me some things that she would possibly say to somebody who was like she was potentially considering but was unsure of. And then I turned around and wrote the song. And we performed it together for a while until my bass player, actually, my old bassist, 20-year pro, did some work with Interscope Records and was on the Deadhead tour, Grateful Dead tour, doing sound for like a good 20 years professionally. He had a couple of emergencies, and so he had to essentially move out of the state. And so I linked up with P-Funk, and then they brought me Greg. They brought me both Dean and Greg, my bass player, and the drummer, who were both playing with the P-Funk Outlaws, which I'm now the music director of. And because she had gone on so much more with her life, and, you know, this was more a song that was supposed to be like a powerful female lead belting and, you know, sort of showing the improvisation of their vocal during that break. You know, I was like, well, I'll just sing it for now until we find, you know, a good person who could sit down and fill in that sort of space and role for that particular type of song.
Okay. It hasn't happened yet, though, huh?
No. It hasn't happened, and you know, it's an interesting song. Like, you're hearing it sort of stripped down, and I don't know if anybody knows anything about this type of guitar, but the setting I have it on, it has like a piezo, so it sounds more acoustic-like. So this is how I would play it if I was playing it more acoustic sounding, and this is how it would sound. But like with the full band, you know, you would hear, you know, maybe some Tom Morello-esque type sound effects in various different places. But yeah.
Okay. And then I forgot what you call those kind of vocals. Is it scatting or?
Yeah, scatting. It's jazz scat. Yeah, yeah. I'm a big jazz head, you know, and so a lot of the songs I write, my bass player says they're just like, they're difficult. It's a lot of jazz substitutions and a lot of notes, and that people wouldn't normally necessarily hear because they're not necessarily what you would call diatonic to a Western sense. They're more jazz extension notes that I like to hit because they really pop out, even in the vocal melodies and stuff like that. They really pop out. So I decided in that section, you know, it really, that section has a breakdown. It sounds like more like, and then you scat over that while that's playing. And, you know, I thought it would be really cool. And it also gave the vocalists and also myself, when I'm singing it, an opportunity to do more like Robert Plant-esque type things, you know, where the singer sings and then the guitar player comes after and mimics what the singer's singing.
Call and response.
Old school call and response, yeah.
Nice. So you got a lot of background there, very diverse.
Yeah.
That's cool.
I like that. Studied a lot of music. You know, it's sort of was my thing, you know, learning, you know, I'd sit down and learn anything I could by ear on the clarinet, and then it sort of happened over to the guitar, and then I would go from learning to reading. You know, so I try to keep a pretty solid background in all styles. You know, I think that was a Prince thing. He said, you want to last in music, you got to study all aspects of music, which means not just your genre, not just your style, not just your connotations of what it even means to be, you know, because, you know, if everybody was stuck to those original connotations, you know, funk music as we know it, and, you know, the titans that came before that wouldn't exist in what they now call funk, which is, you know, essentially just black rock, but they gave it a new name and called it funk. That wouldn't be what it is if, you know, everybody spent all their time, you know, trying to hang up on somebody else's style, you know.
Yeah, stuck in one category.
In one category. And you can't ever see past anything. You know, it's it's really interesting. I work professionally with a label who does artist services and as well as signs people to their label company called the AMG Corp, which was originally Sony affiliated, but as of this year, just switched over to Universal. And while working with a lot of rappers, because that's the big genre right now. It's the order of genres goes country, rock, rap, and then pop. With pop having like 8% of the market share, right?
Surprising,
right? It's not what you would think,
Not
but
as big
it's
as-
not as big as a lot of people think. It's a very, very, very small market. But if you look at a lot of the rappers, it's really interesting because a lot of the rappers just they make beats, and it's like, but if you had people who like the Roots did, who just sit down and play the beats, you could do anything, including remake old songs, which rappers can't do because they sample them and they get nothing from it because they sample. So
Right. I agree. Okay, let's do another one. What do you have?
we're gonna do a good old funk family song. We perform this one a lot. Partially because I really love the song ever since I heard it, and then the other reasons, a lot since it's funkadelic and a lot of the funk family are associated with this gentleman. Typically, a lot of funkers will play each other's music just to sort of keep the funk alive.
Right.
And so this is an old one from Sly Stone.
Nice.
If you want me to stay, I'll be around today to be available for you to see. I'm about to go, and then you'll know. From me stay here, I've gotta be me. Never live in doubt, that's all about. You can't take me for granted and smile. Count the days I'm gone, forget it reaching me by phone, because I promise I'll be gone for a while. And when you see me again, I hope that you have been the kind of person that you really are now. You got to get it straight. How could I ever be late when you're my woman, taking up my time? When you know that you're never number two, number one's gonna be number one. I'll be good, I wish I could get this message over to you now. Got to get it straight. How could I ever be late when you're my woman, taking up my time? When you know that you're never number two, number one's gonna be number one. Oh, I'll be good. I wish I could get this message over to you now. Yeah, yeah. Love that song. I remember a good friend of mine, his name was like Jamie, and after high school, he was like, "You gotta check this out." And it's just a live version of Sly Stone, just with the organ. And you just hear the organ come in. And it's like this beautiful chord. It's just amazing how it just sustains. It's
Yeah.
like that's why I was like, man, I gotta get into like some of that vibe.
Definitely. Yeah, I was around when that stuff was like really popular. I really enjoyed that. And that was the great thing about music back then, especially on the radio. It wasn't about, oh, well, this is the station we're listening to and we're just going to hear this. It was a little mixed bag of everything.
Yeah, it's I think the change like happened in like the 80s. When they started coming up with like Clear Channel and everything. Yeah, because before it was a bunch of independent radio stations. And so the independent radio stations would just put on whoever. And so you had the opportunity for like a lot of bands to really pop. And so, if you're like a Frank Zappa fan, like I'm a huge Zappa guy and I really like a lot of things that he says. But if you're like a Frank Zappa fan, one of the things that he'll tell you is like the golden age for music was like the 70s. People will say the 60s, but it's like the 70s going into the early 80s was like the glory days. Because, it was, you were free to do whatever in terms of creativity. And so all these amazing, it's the same era. You had Jefferson Airplane, you had Led Zeppelin starting to take off, Aerosmith was popping, REO Speedway. None of these bands during that time sounded the same. And it wasn't like people were out then necessarily trying to seek certain things just for the glory's sake of it. It was more so they had the love of music and were making just music. And because of the music that they were making, and it was just the pure love of it, it became amazing. Whereas now, I notice a lot of trend stuff, so like I'll look online and I'll see a lot of musicians following the same post-trend that attracts traffic, which is good for pulling an algorithm, but it's not necessarily good for keeping people to stay in. It just makes sure that people looks. So it's really interesting because it's it started to go more towards the trend. You start noticing people trying to sound more similar. It's not necessarily trying to create or breathe a new sound, but more so like repeat a sound.
Yeah.
And, it's a huge change. And then industry wise, it's now a bunch of radio station conglomerates that had been broken up from Clear Channel and separated into a bunch of different stations that are mostly conglomerized. So most people to even be heard have to have a really good business plan and then save money just to get it heard on the radio.
And even then, Alan, our engineer, he knows a lot about that stuff. It's like basically you're getting the, maybe 10 playlists and that's it. It's all over the country. So you go from city to city, you're hearing the same playlist.
Yeah.
It's not even like, the people the DJs, so to speak, have no say-so in the matter. They don't even plan anything.
No, it's all the music director. Like, it's pretty much like if you want to get music on the air at certain stations, you have to either know the music director or know somebody who knows the music director, and you can get it put on air. Otherwise, you're looking at you're looking at a campaign that starts at no less than $500, and they won't even start if it's less than $1,000.
Yeah.
And then once that's done, those music directors can still decide not to air it. So I understand why a lot of people feel sort of weary in that aspect, just because of how the nature of the beast has changed.
That's why we're doing what we're doing here, Streamcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can have everybody come on.
Yeah.
All right, let's do another one.
it begins again. I'm locked in sin. Bellman won't let me in. Burning on the government. Hidden by zephyr wings. Volatile as all seems. My voice can't take the screams. No silence on my screen. What's going on here now? Wildness coming nearer. Feel the brush beating on the horizon. Cannot escape this jungle, no. Compulsions, why do you bring me down? Addiction in the skin. Somebody tell me how to stop this. Compulsions, why do you bring me down? Addiction in the skin. Somebody tell me how to stop this. I'm running, 'cause I can't take this game. The self-destructive gaze. Hysteria. I'm running, 'cause I can't take this case. This self-destructive ways. And it feels like I broke myself again.
I really like that one.
Thank you.
That's nice.
Thank
I can imagine that, like the full band and all that.
Yeah. I wrote that song. This is a lot of the material I'm singing is some of the some covers that we do, some of the original songs that we do that Dean, our drummer from P-Funk, had a hand in writing and performing on, and then some of the stuff that Greg, our bass player, who he plays in Gorilla Funk Mob, and he also has the Detroit Space Division, and we'll play some of the stuff that him and Rodney also do in Detroit Space Division. And with this particular song, when I wrote this, I had an associate who in college would try to be kind to people, which is, I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And I think at one point he had someone staying at his house, sleeping on his couch. And with the state of the world and how people were, and that was back in 2010, so we were just getting out of the Great Recession, so people weren't able to find places so easily. So I thought that was cool until he told me that when I went over there one day that she broke into his stuff and stole $700, and you would find reason to be pissed and angry at that, and he was just sort of not pissed, which I found intriguing. But when you think about the person's story, I guess it sort of made sense, because the individual was a sex trade trafficked person, and so she, I guess, when people, I'm not sure if anybody is familiar with the sex trade, but when a lot of people end up in the sex trade, they're kidnapped and taken in, men or women, because it happens to both sexes, but it happens to women more, but both are the targets. They typically drug them up, and they drug them up with tons of drugs. And if that person even manages to escape, they've essentially become a junkie for life.
Yeah.
So and that was her situation. I guess she was at a gas station with someone when she was younger. A bunch of people in a marked car pulled over, kidnapped her. She was bounced around from places for months and months and finally managed to escape. But when she did, she was addicted because they had been drugging her up to keep her under control.
All that withdrawal and everything.
All of that.
Going through hell and back.
And so when I heard that from him and then remembered that he both knew her story and then remembered what she had mentioned, I was like, this sort of, warrants writing about. It's the mind started clicking, and so I just started writing some stuff down.
Okay. So where would people find all this music, all these things that you mentioned?
Well, normally all the music would be on Spotify and in iTunes, basically every major retailer. However, towards the end of the year, our label head, Marcus Berry, had informed us that we were switching over from Sony to Universal. That migration started in March. And so I would say...
Of last year?
No, sorry, not last year, January.
January, okay.
Yes, January of this year, sorry.
Okay.
So they must have been in discussion probably around that March time, and then something must have been finalized around November, because in December I was on a phone call with Mark, introducing him to an artist that I was going to get ready to sign over to AMG and launch their music out, and launch their music out with my next upcoming release, which I'll talk about here in a second.
Okay.
And he let me know that was going to happen. So that migration period, the music will probably be up here sometime in March or April. The first release, which is called Beyond the Magic Mirror, it'll be re-released under Universal.
Okay.
And then our second release, which is called Through the Looking Glass, will also be released during that time as well, with some magazine PR push behind it.
Okay. And then eventually, will it be back on those channels? Or
Yes. Everything would be back on the channels. It's all the labels use essentially the same distributors. So you would see it back up on Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music.
Okay. So it's just temporarily on hiatus?
Yeah, it's temporarily on hiatus.
Gotcha. Okay. All right, let's do another one.
What I have in the list here.
Okay.
Intergalactic
So you said you work with the people from P-Funk.
Yeah, I work with a lot of the alumni from P-Funk. We have Dean Raglan, who is my normal drummer. He was a part of Jimmy and the Tackheads originally. If you remember, George has had several incantations of his band, and right around the, I would say, late 70s or early 70s, around the time just right as he finished Chocolate Motor City Booty Affair and was going into One Nation Under a Groove with Warner Brothers. His first incantation of his band left. And so Dean, who knew George for a long period of time and also was his driver, stepped in to fill some of the spaces. And he first did a solo album with George's brother that was Jimmy and the Tackheads under CBS Records. And then after that, George called him in for the album America Eats Its Young, which includes One Nation Under a Groove.
Okay.
And then I also am the music director for the P-Funk Outlaws, which is another P-Funk outshoot that is headed by Lonnie Green, also known as Count Funkula. And he is responsible for writing the songs Quickie, Agony of Defeat, and Didn't Know the Funk Was Loaded. And Greg also plays in the P-Funk Outlaws and has had affiliation with Funkadelic for a number of years. So a lot of the guys that I play with, they're mostly P-Funk musicians. And then I'll back some of their band members. I know Dean was talking about us perhaps also backing, she's known as Sheila Brody now, but everybody knows her by her name as Sheila Horn. Thinking about backing her up for some of the things that she does as well. So
Okay. It's kind of like the old days. I remember that documentary I saw about Stax Records, I think it was.
Yeah.
When there was a lot of, these two would play on this record and they would trade off, take turns, all that good stuff.
Yeah, and that's a lot.
One big happy family, though.
Yeah, that's what a lot of it's like. Like, there are some recordings that we have with the Outlaws. Some of them have me playing the guitar rhythm. Some of them have me playing lead. Some of them just have me singing. Some of them have Greg on the bass. Some of them have Lonnie himself on the bass. Some of them have Lonnie Motley, who's another member of P-Funk, doing some of the bass lines. So a lot of them, it's a large collective. I think even Maruga, he pulls from different musicians in his collective, from Misty Love and to various other musicians that he works with. So you constantly get like something different, and even George will do that. Sometimes you'll see Kid Funkadelic on there, and then sometimes you'll see like Blackbird up there playing, and it's I guess it's really what they're feeling at the moment because they. They're a very improvisational band. It's part of the reason I was like, I'll sit down and, play and learn over here because they do more improvisational. Even all of their songs are basically improvisations that they turned into something, just jams.
Yeah.
And
accidentally became a song.
And so I always thought that was amazing because you can always compose something, you can micromanage and trim something down, but to capture a raw moment is entirely different because you're capturing the magic at that moment. Anything else you can edit and flesh out if you want, but if you can capture that raw moment and the raw essence and then build off of that and turn it into something, then you've captured the energy of something. And I think that's far more important than trying to create something that's ultra polished. People want to feel music, and I can play like really clean, but that's not necessarily mean that they're going to feel it. Right. People want to feel something, and sometimes that's an ugly note, and sometimes that's something that's just slightly out. you don't really know what that's going to be in terms of that. Like if you looked at all the old records, there's tempo fluctuations everywhere. Sometimes something sounds slightly sharp or something sounds slightly flat.
Yeah.
But in the space of the actual, and that's without the auto tune. That's the natural voice. It's always going to sound slightly sharp or flat, especially when you take in consideration breathing. But it's one of those things where it was different, and I find people tend to like the older music better because of that.
Yeah, a lot of the jazz musicians, same thing. That's the way they would approach their music. And then I forgot who it was, but there was a quote, something about there's no such thing as a wrong note. It depends on what you play afterwards.
Yeah, that's so true. Like if I played like this B minor chord, right? It's just 3 notes. It's B, D, F sharp, But that B, D, F sharp, that you might add a C to that. All of a sudden, all of those notes sound good together. If I add like this F sharp, because of how it's ending on that B. But I'm just adding a flat 2.
Yeah.
To most people, that wouldn't sound normal. But when you play it like that, it's totally normal. Miles Davis was like a huge person about that. I don't know if you've ever watched any interviews of his.
Yeah.
There was an interview where it was Herbie Hancock. And Herbie Hancock's talking about being on stage his first ever time playing with Miles Davis. Miles Davis must have been in his 30s. Herbie's is just starting to break after Chick Corea just left, right?
Right.
And so Herbie starts to play, and he's playing live, and he hits a cluster of notes, and they sound ugly, and the whole reason they sound ugly is because they were the butter notes, and the way Miles likes to arrange his chords, they would sound discordant. And so he would tell people to avoid them. And if you looked at the structure of the songs, you would see that. And Miles stopped, and he looked, and he listened, and then he played a bunch of notes that resolved it. It's not really, music is about tension and release, resolution and tension. And so a note is insignificant. It's what comes after it and knowing how to resolve it. And so you get a lot of old school jazz lines. You're like, what? This doesn't make any sense. Well, it's because to most people, that note would have been a mistake until they hit the right note after it. And you're just like, oh.
I think that was him. I think it was Miles that said what I just brought up. Yeah.
Yeah. That was his whole thing.
Yeah, it's like true dialogue, except music.
Yeah. And that gets to the point I was making about, singers. When people sing, there's so many different variables. Like for example, me sitting here is one. Technically, if I wanted to be proper about singing, I'd be standing, but I'm sitting, right? And then I have this guitar in front of me. And both of those things block your air. But if you look at even some of the most professional singers like Whitney Houston, everybody talks about how great her tone was. And I was just watching something yesterday, and they're talking about the Star Spangled Banner. And somebody was, they were talking about a Whitney Houston song, and I think it was Joss Stone was singing in a competition, and they were trying to compare her voice to Whitney Houston. And Whitney Houston's voice was slightly sharp, and Joss's was perfect. But when you listen to Whitney Houston's, everything sounds perfect, and something seems wrong with Joss Stone's, and it's because they auto-tuned her entire live performance. It's going to affect, because the breathing sounds unnatural. All of it just sounds unnatural.
Yeah, it's a shame. Yeah. All right, we got to squeeze in at least a couple of more, so why don't we do that?
Okay. of storm. Strangled like birds born. Lost in light. Flashbang, 100 high. Watch stone-eyed wonder. Past district mind soar beyond the floor. Never a snow. Yes, box the line. Hand out ticket fines. And sorrow will die. The mob unmistakable. Truth found never, or else dance in dark. Live, die forever. Shut the door. Riots like force of storm. Strangled like birds born. Lost in light.
All right, nice.
Thank you.
All right, I think we got time for one more. I really appreciate it, DeAndre. Thanks for coming down to play for us.
Thank you very much. I'm going to play a song that we don't typically get to play very much live, and that's just because, like I said earlier, I write some crazy, difficult pieces. It's a lot to memorize. You know, a lot of people do like 3 or 4 chords, and maybe a couple of section changes, and I think of moving pieces in like segments, so I think of it more like a symphony. So you have part A here, part B here, key changes. And so this is one of those songs, but this is also our biggest song. This is the song that we took number 22 on the top 100 Billboard list in 2021.
Nice.
It's called Liquid Galaxies. It was on sale on what used to be Armada Records. Our label sort of linked us up with a release for a compilation disc, sort of various artists, and that was through Dwayne, our VP, and we got placed on the album disc, and we took number 22nd and number 6 in iTunes as well. So this is our biggest hit, and this will be a fun one to play, but it is teaching them a lot of parts. So. At a phase with I, one look to see I'm lost in time. Count days while I step into light shine. Why leave clues opened up so soon? Crying Mother Mary, singing out through you. Thanks for giving my heart a jumpstart mirror, message clear. Take me up in divine union. If life is a beach, we walk grace my dreams sublime. Seems the souls they rhyme. I hear my twins so sublime. Seems the starlet this, as I was told so long ago. Blessed soul be mine. If life is a beach, we walk grains of sand. All becomes quicksand. Don't trap me up, appreciate that star-crossed like a loose lovely sleight of hand, a sacrificial